Brad Johnson here from johnson.audio, and today I'm going to talk to you about the difference between delays and reverbs. Now, as you begin to do your mixing and you start to get into all your different plugins, you will definitely notice your delays and your reverbs, and they're a lot of fun to play with, but you have to know a few things about them to make sure that you're using them wisely and creatively and not ruining your mix and your song. So when it comes to delays, that is going to be what we normally consider to be an echo. So you hear ha, 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 ha. That would be a delay, and you can make it longer, you can make it shorter, and the different lengths that you put on it in milliseconds will create different psychoacoustic effects for your listener. Now, reverbs are going to be hundreds and hundreds of different delays, so it's going to be a lot more chaotic for your stereo imaging. You got to think about, again, your depth, your height, and your width. A reverb is going to start to affect all of that, while delay is a lot more precise and it just bounces back and forth, and it's going to take up a lot less space. Now, when it comes to other effects like chorus, flangers, phase shifters, those are all short time delays with feedback. So those are going to be in the delay category, but I'm not going to talk about those effects, but I just want you to know that those are also delays. So when it comes to delays, if you're doing anything from a 60 millisecond to 100 millisecond, that's really going to be that slap back effect. That's going to be very audible, and it does create depth within your mix. It's going to be that, classic rockabilly sound, and it can create a lot of movement, and it's a really cool effect. When you get down to the 30 to 60 millisecond, you're going to get more into the doubling effect, where kind of that John Lennon-y, think about the Beatles, where it does really sound kind of like there's two tracks behind it. But the benefit to doing a doubling delay over just doubling the actual performance is that it can actually create a little bit more of a natural vibe to it. It does have the tendency to sit back stuff in the mix. It can kind of bury it back. So this is a good effect for maybe an instrument that may not necessarily need to be very prominent, or it may not be that great sounding. You can kind of mask it around with a nice doubling effect. It's also a very natural way to just make a chorus sound even bigger. So say a chorus of vocals, having a nice little doubling effect will make a really natural sounding 40-person choir sound like an 80-person choir. And then as you get into the 30 millisecond delays, you can create what's called the haas effect, which actually fattens your sound. You actually can't discern the delay, so it actually sounds like one instrument, but it can stretch it. So say you have the actual sound over here, and then you have that delay panned over here. It'll actually create a widening effect, making the instrument sound bigger, more full, and more fat. And then as you get down to 1 millisecond delays, that's actually where phase cancellation comes into play, and that is something for another video, but just know this is more for miking situations. If you create a 1 millisecond delay between the microphones, you can create phase cancellation, which creates a lot of different problems. Now, when it comes to reverb, reverb is a bunch of delays in one, creating space. It actually fills the gaps between your instruments and makes them feel cohesive, like they're actually playing within the same space. But with reverb, you have to be careful because it is occupying lots and lots of room. So it can really mask a lot of instruments. It can just make your whole entire mix sound like a wash. If you want to use very, very short reverbs and you want to be utilizing high pass and low pass filters with it when it's a very dense mix, because you do not want it to just all of a sudden just cloud everything, you can get away with using a lot more long tail reverbs with more sparse arrangements. So say you're just doing a guitar and a vocal and you want to really kind of give it that ethereal floaty vibe, you can definitely go for the longer reverbs. Just know, if you're working a dense mix, delays are going to be more of your friend than reverbs are going to be more of your friend. If you're working with a sparser arrangement, your reverbs will really come into play. Using pre-delay on a reverb will give it more of a natural sound. Pre-delay is going to be that time before you really hear the reverb take place. You got to think about it. If you're in a room and you say something, there's usually a little bit of a delay before you start to hear the room sound in it. Maybe you hear that echo, that flutter, whatever it is, that's the pre-delay. So using pre-delay can also make a vocal have a little bit more depth as well, because you're hearing the upfront vocal and then you're kind of hearing that pre-delay behind it, especially if you tuck it underneath it. So those also a good way of creating depth within your mix. Now, talking about the difference between delay and reverbs definitely is a big subject. So really, you just need to understand that delays are more precise. They create more of a psychoacoustic effect, while reverbs are a lot more messy. They create more space. They give you that feeling of being in a room, but you have to be careful with the way that you use them. You want to be sure that you're not overhearing that reverb. So there is technique to it. Now, this also goes into the different types of reverbs and the different types of delays, which I'm not going to get into in this video. I just want you to understand the basics of what a delay does and what a reverb does. I hope you got something out of this. Please leave me a comment below if you want me to expand on any of these topics. I would love to hear from you. If you got anything on this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. To all my other subscribers, thank you for your continued support. I am Brad Johnson at johnson.audio, where I help you sing your story, mix your mission, and master your message. I will see you on the next video. Bye.